Hey, conservatives and MAGA, Donald Trump is not putting America first. He is just like the left. Let's walk away from this system. We do not have to march on the State House. My name is Bill Hoy. I'm the narrator of this video. My website is naturallawwithbillhoy.com. I have a podcast series titled Natural Law on Spotify. I haven't done any video podcasts lately, but I've been busy with other stuff. So let's just get on with this video. Alright. This video is a part of my Hey Trump supporters, you have been tricked video series. No one is going to save you. You can save yourselves. I made a part 1 and part 2 of Hey Trump supporters, you've been tricked. And then I also have another video that's part of the series. Hey Trump supporters, Trump cannot and will not save you in 2024. It's time to walk away from the left-right paradigm. And then I made another video banging my head against a brick wall. Hey conservatards, Donald Trump will not save you from the libtards in the next election. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, and vice versa, over and over again, and you refuse to see it. And I was very harsh on Trump supporters in this video, and my main focus is on Trump supporters because I do think that the majority of Trump supporters do at least pay lip service to objective rights, but their behaviors betray them. And speaking of rights, folks, Donald Trump is not concerned with the Bill of Rights or objective rights in general. Definitely not. We're losing our rights, and there's a reason, because most people don't even know what a right is. So let's cover that. What is a right? An objective right is a behavior that does not initiate physical harm to another sentient being. Humans are designed to be free. When humans initiate physical harm towards others and support acts of violence, no matter what the violence is called or how it is justified, there will be less freedom in society. This is a law. Behaviors that ensure the existence of freedom are objectively correct based in cause and effect. The proportion of violence or lack of will determine the proportion of freedom in large societies. The reason Americans are becoming less free is that violence and coercion with the threat of violence are increasing. All humans have the right to defend themselves against any initiation of aggression by any means necessary to repel the attack. And this is true even if the aggressor is a police officer or alphabet agency enforcer, and I'm not inciting anything, folks, I'm just telling you the truth. Social status does not change the right of self-defense. The U.S. Supreme Court is not the arbiter of rights and has made mistakes in some of the rulings concerning various constitutional amendments, and unfortunately people think they're the arbiter of rights, but they're not. Alright, so back on this again. Left-right paradigm. The left feeds the right and the right feeds the left. In order to have the right, you got to have the left. In order to have the left, you got to have the right. In order to keep people connected to this system, people need an enemy. The ruling class feeds off both the left and the right. In order to break this cycle, at least one side has to withdraw their support of this insanity. Both sides keep each other in the system via the fear of each other. And what can a politician do for you that you cannot do for yourself? Tyranny cannot flourish without people to do the evil work. People work for tyrannical agencies. So I'm going to talk about, in order to keep people connected to this system, people need an enemy, and both sides keep each other in the system via the fear of each other. And throughout this video, I'll be showing some clips from some articles that I pulled up off the internet. You can pull them off the internet very easily It's not hard, and you could look into this for yourself. So, to the article, political polarization means more Americans are voting against rather than for candidates in presidential elections. Traditionally, in elections, people vote for candidates that they like, but in recent years, surveys have shown a growing number of people cast their votes against candidates rather than for them. Okay, that's key. And in new research, these two guys found that those who have a less positive feeling about the political party they usually identify with are more likely to vote against a presidential candidate. See, that's the key. That's how this system works. This left-right system is vital to the success of tyranny. As violence increases in a society, freedom decreases. I've been over that. When this happens, the ruling class needs a system that keeps people focused on each side of a divide. Violence and coercion with the threat of violence are increasing in America, and this divided system keeps people fighting amongst each other. As the violence and coercion increase, this creates the fear and disdain that keeps people connected to this left-right system. It's evil, but it's genius. More often than not, both sides participate in the same activities. This is because both sides are run by wealthy industrialists, or what Bernays called the invisible government. It goes deeper than that, but just for the sake of this video, I'll just talk about that. But you can look into Edward Bernays' Father of Modern Propaganda. His book was titled Propaganda. Look into that for yourself. The left-right paradigm is used to split the politicians' activities, making it possible for the consent of Americans. This consent is garnered indirectly by way of distraction. The left-right system keeps the public focused on the other side and not the core issue. Both sides favor Israel over America, support mass surveillance, support taxation, support the Federal Reserve, and support the military-industrial complex. Okay? The trick is to get the people that are the victims of this predatory paradigm to fight amongst each other. The people can beat this system by withdrawing. And here's one of the ways this system works together and then splits it. Okay, so to the top, Trump wants to drill, baby, drill. What does that mean for climate concerns? Okay, that makes the left all angry. And on the bottom, Biden granted more oil and gas drilling permits than Trump in his first 2 years in office. The point here is that both sides engage in oil well drilling. Okay, but the right plays the part of we're drill baby drill, whereas the left plays the part of, oh, we don't want this oil well drilling, we care about our ecosystem so much, and both sides don't give a shit. Okay, of course the people follow along and they get bamboozled into this, but these are the tricks that they play. And here's another trick. These politicians, they blame, the left-right paradigm allows these politicians to blame the other side, blame the previous ruler. Okay, so here's it from the title. I just got here. Donald Trump calls Ukraine-Russia conflict Biden's war. And in a social media post, Trump said, the war between Russia and Ukraine is Biden's war, not mine. I just got here. All right, and he criticized both his predecessor, Biden, and Zelensky, the Ukrainian President Zelensky, accusing them of failing to prevent the conflict. And of course, that's the game. Once one side starts it, oh, there's nothing you can do now. No, Donald Trump can easily stop the overt supply of weapons and money to Ukraine with a phone call. Okay, but he's not doing it. That's the game. And there it is. In March, U.S. arms deliveries to Ukraine resume. Okay, and that's the game. That's the game they play. They blame it on the other side. This is a game, folks. Time to walk away. Trump supporters, MAGA, conservatives, people on the right side of politics, you guys can withdraw from the system. And I understand your fears that the left may take over. That's one of them, and that possibly will happen. So let's take a look at that. Okay, Trump supporters pull away from the system, and the left takes over. Ooh, that's bad. Trump supporters can refuse to participate in the system by not voting, refusing to pay taxes, refusing to work for any occupation that enforces tyranny, and being prepared to use defensive force against the politicians' enforcers. The left will take over, but the back and forth system will be eliminated. That's the most important thing. When this happens, it will be easy to see the tyranny of what is called the U.S. government. Without that back and forth, it's easier to see. In addition, the left will not have an active participant in a system to hate, which keeps them involved. Keep that in mind, folks. Could it be bad for a bit? Yeah. But this is the way to go. What are the foundations of the left-right paradigm underneath all of what I just explained? Okay? And I talk about that and its effect on the spectator dupe voters in this video that I made, Natural Law and Natural Justice is the Law of Cause and Effect. And I particularly talked about that in this clip here. And that is the system that keeps both sides underneath all of the overt machinations is the belief in human rulership. Both sides believe that there has to be a human ruling class. That's the key. The belief in human rulership and the belief that the rulers care about them and stuff like that. Okay? And that even if you don't like the ruling class, you have to have one. That's key. The belief in human rulership is one of the components that keeps this system together. The left-right system keeps the participants in fear of the other side taking over. Each side thinks they are obligated to comply with a perceived legitimate ruler, whether they like the ruler or not. Refusing to comply with politicians and their enforcers is not an option for the spectator dupe voters in this system. That's how the belief in rulership keeps people connected to this system. There's another component of this left-right system of tyranny that keeps it in place. This system is also based on the belief in human created construct. What is that? The belief in money as a primary value. Note I said primary value. The belief in money as more important than rights, freedom, etc. Okay, and here's an example that I'm going to give of that. Okay, in the upper right corner here, I have two silhouettes of a man and a woman. This is a mom and dad that are talking to each other about how much they hate the IRS and feel that the IRS should disappear. And then their son comes home from college and tells mom and dad, hey, I got a great job. Kid just graduated college, and tells his parents that he's got a job making $60,000 a year, full benefits, pension. And mom and dad say, oh boy, son, where are you going to be working? This is great. And the son tells him, the IRS. And what do most parents say? They say, oh boy, that's great, son. It's great that you got a good job. They value money over freedom and rights. And they should be telling their son, don't work there. Don't work at that job. That job is evil. But unfortunately, they praise him. And this is very common. To get rid of this IRS, we must refuse to work for this agency in any way. That's the solution. It's one of them. The truth. Since Trump has taken office, he has not talked about universal rights or even tried to follow the U.S. Constitution. Trump campaigned on the promise of ending the woke cancel culture. However, this has not happened. In fact, the woke cancel culture has taken on a new concept. The protection of Israel from any criticism is primary for Trump. He's taken the next step in wokeism. Prior to 2025, the leftist woke culture would punish speech they did not like by censorship on social media. Trump is now punishing speech he does not like with imprisonment. Trump obviously does not care about the First Amendment. People are being imprisoned for speech. Is this what you MAGAs wanted? Here's an example. The arrest of a Palestinian activist who helped organize campus protests of the war in Gaza. Homeland Security officials and Trump have indicated that the arrest was directly tied to his role in the protests last spring at Columbia University. His arrest, the Khalil guy, has drawn criticism that he's being unfairly and unlawfully targeted for his activism, while the federal government has essentially described him as a terrorist sympathizer. Most important, the Khalil guy has not been convicted of any terrorist-related activity. In fact, he has not been charged with any wrongdoing. It's frightening. Okay, continuing with the truth. Trump is not going to be president forever. What kind of speech do you think a left-sided president will imprison people for? Maybe this time the left will imprison people for not taking vaccines. That was what they wanted to do during the scamdemic. Trump is setting a precedent that will destroy our constitutional republic. Okay, and this was during the scamdemic. New Jersey healthcare workers required to get COVID vaccines, right? Or lose their job. We all know that. And now it's going to be, when the left comes back, it's going to be, or go to jail. Take your vaccine or go to jail. Yeah. More truth. Also, Real ID is coming to America in May 2025. This is going to set up a complete tracking system of all Americans. You can look into the company Palantir, look into Elon Musk. Elon Musk is, he's a part of this surveillance state. Look into Peter Thiel. Look into the artificial intelligence that, Thiel and Musk and all these guys are creating. Look into debanking. Trump's involved. Trump has people who he's protecting that are involved in debanking right now. And debanking is basically shutting off people's bank accounts for things that they don't like what the people are doing, and stealing their money. Trump is not opposing this at all. Trump is also taxing all of us with the tariffs. Just like the left in Congress, Trump is having people deported without due process. I know there are immigrants that are committing violent crimes and crimes of theft. However, due process is the foundation of a constitutional republic. The solution. There are many of you that are starting to see that Trump is helping to enrich the oligarch class, just like the left does. The Doge cuts, they're a smokescreen. Has Trump audited the Pentagon? Has Trump gone after the Federal Reserve banking system? You cannot have a discussion about government wasteful spending without covering the previous institutions. What happened to getting rid of the income tax? We can do that ourselves. What we have to begin to realize is that in order to get rid of the income tax, the citizenry has to refuse to work for the IRS. When the IRS does not have anyone to enforce the income tax, the tax will disappear and the IRS will disappear when nobody wants to work there. So here's a solution. You got tyrannical agencies, you got the IRS, and you got the elimination. Refuse to work for a job. Work a job for this agency from investigator to gardener. Okay, private companies must refuse to do work for this agency. Do not accept any incentives from this institution, and this goes all the way down through FBI, DHS, NSA, CIA, ATF, DEA. The alternative to the IRS is more freedom and privacy. Find other ways to make money instead of working at the IRS. And no more income tax. That ain't bad. The alternative to the FBI, local communities can investigate crimes. And then DHS and NSA, no alternatives. And the CIA, the alternative can be obtain information from objective journalism and cooperate peacefully with others. That doesn't sound bad. And then the ATF and DEA, we don't need any alternatives for them. All right, that's going to be the end of this video. And keep in mind, folks, with the MAGA, Make America Healthy Again, it's a good thing, but they're not talking about what happened during the scamdemic, which is very important. There's going to be another one, and very likely. And they're not talking about the pollution from geoengineering programs. Keep that in mind. All right.